This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? I'm happy to see that you didn't trade me away for a different co-host, man.
No, I couldn't do that to you, and I would not do that to you. But as Big Trey said, it's a headbanger this week, bro. It's a headbanger, and it's a headbanger to some that's good news, and to some that's not so good news. Let's get it, brother.
Yeah, man. And some of those people actually just start subscribing to the show. So I just got a couple notifications for some new subscribers on the YouTube, a couple
Nice.
on Spotify.
Nice.
And I was actually just telling you behind the scenes that we had a Eagles fan listen to the podcast. So I don't know how he came across it, but appreciate him adding to those numbers.
Appreciate it.
And just going to ask you guys, hey, do us a favor. Before you hit pause, go out there, go click subscribe. I know you're listening on Apple because I can see how many people listen on Apple now because I got an iPhone. Do us a favor and leave a review. It helps out. And our buddies at Don't Sleep Energy, they're hooking Rally up with some energy shots to take up with him to New England for his trip so we can stash him in his carry-on without having to check a bag. So, you know, it helps some other sponsors come and join the show with us.
Definitely does. And for everyone that's viewing our YouTube, here is the energy shot. It's red berry. Thanks, Mike, for the Don't Sleep energy shot. It's 2 ounces and it packs a punch. I'm going to be using this weekend when I go up to New England because I'm going to need it. You see this right here? This right here? Get you some. Trust and believe it will do what you need to get done to keep you awake. Thanks, Mike, at Don't Sleep Energy.
So I'm wondering if Mike can get you maybe 53 of those. And since, you know, you're usually on the field before pregame, maybe you can start handing them out to some of the players along the sideline, maybe to the offensive line, maybe to Casey Toohill and James Smith-Williams, because they're going to be getting some more reps this week, considering what just went down. Give them a little more energy because they haven't really been out there. And I'm sure they'll be in shape and they got some fresh legs, but everyone can use, you know, a little kick in the gear.
Definitely can. But I'm here to tell you, Ted, no disrespect to Mike at Don't Sleep, but this week, I don't think those guys are going to need anything. They're going to be so pumped up because they are now our starters. And I can see how the excitement, I'm excited for them. I really am. And I know we got some backstory to get to how they became our starters, but I'm excited for these guys. I think that we're going to see a change. And I got a prediction that you just got to wait for to the end of the show.
Uh-oh. That's how you do it, man. We're getting the hang of this. That's a nice little tease.
Oh,
and
yeah.
If you're listening to this, you got to know what's going on, unless you're a relative of ours that's listening and doesn't really pay attention. I even got text messages from in-law cousins, I don't know what else to call them, from different parts of the country saying, what the hell are the Commanders doing? Because, I mean, it made national news. And obviously, you all know we're talking about, we traded away Montez Sweat to the Bears. We're getting a 2024 second-round pick, which is key because a conditional comp pick doesn't happen until the year after 2025 because there's a whole formula, and we'll get into that in a minute. But for Montez, he's going with the Bears. It's also key because guess what? The Bears suck. They're worse than we are, and that's going to be a pretty damn good pick for us. So the reason why Chicago's giving that up is they're hoping to actually sign a long-term deal with Tez. Now, all of this is pending a physical, but he hasn't shown up on any injury reports. He's been good. I mean, I don't see why that physical wouldn't pass. So Tez is going to Chicago. And you and I were just there last year. I hope he's packing a parka, but I got a feeling he's going to have maybe $50 million, $60 million that he's going to get locked up with. So he can afford a nice jacket and he should be good. But what were you thinking when you heard first off about the Tez deal?
I said, wow, okay. We kind of expected that. And I said, all right, now what are we going to get for him? And now who does that elevate? And that'll either be two sacks, Toohill, or James Smith-Williams. So which one is going to be elevated? That's immediately what went to my mind. And then I said, you know what? I know Tez probably doesn't like it, but good for him, because there was just no way in my mind. I was saying there's just no way that we could truly pay him what he's worth. What about you, man?
So to me, we could afford to pay him, right? Because we've got $90 million in cap space. But could and should are two totally different things.
Okay.
So we've already got a ton of money at defensive tackle with John Allen and Deron Payne. Just so much money of that cap tied up to those guys. We've got the 20, depending on what stat you look at, the 29th ranked defense, 30th ranked defense, depending on if you're talking points, if you're talking yards. Regardless, we are the bottom defense in the NFL.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane considering we've had these guys on the roster. And just speaking about Tez right now, it just hasn't really happened. The thing that was interesting, though, was the team didn't want to trade Montez. They were looking to move Chase instead. And, you know, in honor of Chase, I'm rocking my 99 jersey, probably for the last time you'll see it. But they got too good an offer that they could not refuse. And for those fans that don't understand the comp pick formula, what happens with a comp pick, this is a rule.
Break it down.
If a team loses more players that qualify as CFAs, compensatory free agents, than it signs during free agency, that team is eligible to be awarded compensatory picks in the following draft. It's important to note that only certain players qualify for the compensatory formula. Those are only players whose contracts expire. Tez's contract is expiring. Players who are cut are the most common examples of free agents ineligible. So if we lost, let's just say Montez and Chase, that's 2 CFAs. Those contracts expired, but we added 3 free agents, we wouldn't have gotten comp picks.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's saying, oh, well, you know, we'll get it later. On top of it, it doesn't happen until 2025 because they have to calculate what you do in the 2024 offseason. So why are we going to wait to gain more assets when most likely you can't keep both of them? And to lock up Tez long-term would have cost you an arm and a leg, and you're going to be spending how much more on a defensive line? I love the fact that they got a second-round pick for him. And the fact that it was a second-round pick from the Bears, who aren't good right now, and they're probably not going to be good the rest of the season. So it's going to be close to the bottom end of the first round. We're talking a very early second-round pick that we're going to get. But this is actually what Rivera had to say about Montez.
You know, trading Montez was, something that really tough decision, but something that we felt was in the best interest of the football team. We really appreciate everything Montez had did for us. A heck of a football player who came in and did some nice things and really fit well. But again, football is a very difficult business, and a lot of things change and things happen. And so we made the decision. Really do appreciate everything that Montez did for us, and want to wish him the best in Chicago as he finishes up, his opportunities there. As far as Chase is concerned, because the 49ers are on their bye week, slowing the process down a little bit, I can't comment on that until it's done. So I'll be happy to talk about Montez and
So oddly enough, Rivera isn't allowed to talk about the Chase Young trade because it's not finalized yet because of everything going on with them being on their bye. He is in Santa Clara right now. Those wondering, it's Wednesday, November 1st at 5:21. So he's out there. He's going through his physical and everything else. I don't see him not making the move. And we asked our listeners to chime in. Appreciate you guys always interacting with the show. We got this from Edwin Jimenez. Not a good move on Sweat. And I really wish he'd elaborate why. And I've already given my opinion. I think it's a great move because he wasn't going to stay here. You had 9 games left on Tez's contract. Could you franchise him? Yes. But a franchise tag is going to be worth over $20 million. Okay. We just mentioned they had $90 million at that point next year, cap room wise. To me, why are you going to do that and make all that money in the defensive line? Just to earmark all of that between John Allen and Payne and Montez. You're getting an asset. And a lot of people are chiming in and saying, well, they can't pick good players anyway. Guys, this thing's getting blown up.
Yeah.
The coaching staff isn't going to be here. Remember, Ron is in charge of player personnel. He's not going to be here. The Martys aren't going to be here. The people that are making the draft choices next year with the picks that we're acquiring are going to be all brand new. And I have faith. I know some of you guys don't, but I have faith that this new ownership group is going to bring in good people to make these decisions. And hopefully these picks will turn into something. And I'd rather have a second-round pick now than a third-round pick down the road that you may or may not get.
Or even a fourth-round pick. And that's what I think people are doing. And Ted, I honestly believe, I agree with you. I honestly believe that people are looking at it through their heart and fan eyes versus the business side of it. And I know this doesn't sound good, but I told everyone to temper their expectations. I said that. Temper your expectations. Some have not. I have. And because I have, I've realized that we will continue to be a 7 or a mediocre team, an average team. And with an average team, you get below average picks. And if we were going about it the way that we've been doing it for all these years, we'd be right back into the same boat next year. And they would feed us this good stuff throughout the off season and we'd be ready to buy. But realistically, we'd have the exact same thing, that same plane, if you will. This makes a lot of sense. I know people can't see it right now because they're thinking with their heart versus their business mind. Business-wise, it makes a lot of sense. And you guys, you always say, trust the process. Well, now we've got 9 picks coming our way. And what do we need? We need the picks. And like you said, Ted, this is threefold. Obviously, it's threefold because, A, the ownership picked these guys to go. The ownership said, all right, no, we're done with you guys. As hard as it may sound, go fly someplace else and do good things. Ron didn't do that. They didn't trust Ron, obviously, to make this type of call. Third, because they didn't trust him, that lets you know that, as you said earlier, he's not going to be in the building. Player personnel who picks player personnel, they won't be in the building. At least we don't believe they will. Now, granted, anything can change, but what we're seeing and what we feel, they won't be in the building. So it speaks volumes. And I told you guys, Ted, you know this. I said, if this continues up, if we continue going down the path that we're going, he won't be here after the bye. And I believe that. I honestly believe that if things don't shape up, which I honestly believe they are going to shape up, believe it or not, but if they don't shape up after the bye, he's gone.
I agree with you. I do think he's going to be gone. And a lot of people are chiming in, why hasn't it happened yet? And, you know, Josh McDaniels just got fired on Halloween. He definitely got a trick instead of a treat in his basket. And he's gone. Yeah. And maybe new ownership didn't want to be the first one to fire the trigger and get rid of a coach. But everyone knows, Stevie Wonder knows. You can see the writing is on the wall. Rivera is gone. If he was playing for this season, he would not have traded these guys away. This is an ownership decision. This shows you that ownership is involved, even though they're sitting behind the scenes, awkwardly shaking people's hands on TV. They're still doing stuff. And Josh Harris, the Hogs, told Ron, this is happening. So get on board with it. And this is actually what Ron had to say about working with Josh around this trade.
And then obviously you're consulting with Josh Harris during this process. What was that like to be working with ownership on these on this deal?
Well, for the most part, the process, probably started about 10 days ago. Our front office fielded a few calls about some of our players. And when we talked about it, one of the things we talked about was gathering information and what potentials were for some of our guys. We talked about that. We talked about what the plan should be in terms of decisions being made. And then we did reach out to Mr. Harris. We had a nice conversation about that. We talked about our plans, basically. We talked about what the potential could be and what the compensation could be. And he liked the ideas. He agreed with the ideas, and so we were all aligned. Everything from coaching to personnel to Mr. Harris. And with that, we went out and the front office, they did the deals that they did yesterday.
I mean, think about this. We have 3 picks in the top 45. We've got 5 picks in the first 3 rounds at this point.
Yeah.
And $90 million in cap space. So you said during our last pod, you gave him a year. Well, realistically, with that amount of cap room and some good picks, and the caveat, hopefully a smart person making these player acquisition moves and a good GM, maybe a year is all it takes. I mean, Brian Dable brought the Giants, granted this was last year, not this year, but he brought the Giants to the playoffs last year. So the thing is, what I have been waiting for, and I know you to some degree, is consistent winning. None of this, okay, every 5, 7, 10 years, we sneak into the playoffs.
Yeah.
We got into the playoffs with a losing record because the Eagles benched Jalen Hurts. I'm sorry, 2020 does not count. Before then, okay, Kirk got us there and he choked. It wasn't really successful the way the teams were built. I'm sorry. I know a lot of our listeners don't remember what it used to be, but every year we were going to the playoffs. Every year we were a contender. Now we just hope to luck box our way in and hope that another team gets hurt and something happens. Oh, who knows if Tua is going to be playing for the Dolphins in December? Who knows, how Brock Purdy is going to look when we play the 49ers? Maybe we can beat them down the road. No, forget all that. Maybe we build a good enough team and they are afraid of us for a change versus us wondering, hey, will attrition take them out for us instead?
Well, I know for a fact, well, I shouldn't say that. I feel now I'm taking off my business side and I'm going back to my fan side. I feel as though we will be in the hunt next year. I do feel that whoever we bring in on board, they're going to change this program around from, I think our scouting personnel is going to change as well. I think that there's going to be just a revamp all throughout the building.
Agreed. And Brian Walrath chimed in and said, both underachieving, stockpiling picks. This is about the future, and he likes it. And James Hart chimed in, screw up, equal to dumping Kirk, Trent, Alexander, Smith. Good news for Niners, Ohio State bookends together again in Bosa and Chase. Maybe for Bears, but 2 firsts for a second and third by Mayhew. Yes, by Mayhew, but do you guys understand what players are actually worth? And I think that's the other part is our fans think and they overvalue. Have they been playing like first-round picks? Has Chase Young been playing like a first-round pick? No. The answer is hell no. He hasn't been playing like a first-round pick. Has Montez been playing like a first-round pick? I'm sorry. I'm going to say no. He's been playing very well, but has been playing like a first-round pick? No. He hasn't gotten double-digit sacks his entire career. So what makes you think anyone in their right mind is going to give you a first-round pick for a guy that hasn't performed like it? On top of that, he doesn't have a contract. He's got 9 games left. So why would someone give up a first-round pick for a guy that they're only renting for 9 games? Just use your head here, people.
When you say, has he been playing, look at the comparisons. Has he been playing like a Micah Parsons? No. Has he been playing like a Bosa? No. Has he been playing like the cat out of Detroit? I can't think of his name, but when you mention those 3 people's names, man, it's like, no, he has not been. They have not been. Yes, they're good to us. They're favorites to us. But throughout the league, no. Now, as far as Chase is concerned, I hope that he gets with a new program or a new coordinator and they teach him what he needs. I really do. I want him to succeed. I still like him. I just won't like him as much when he plays us, which
Oh.
is in the next couple months.
New Year's
But
Eve.
New Year's Eve. So I'm hoping that he flourishes. And it's not always about we do it all the time. Man, we couldn't keep this guy, we couldn't keep get the guy. Now look at him. They always play better. Well, hopefully he will. But you got to look at who can we bring in that has that Bosa motor, that has, and I can't think of the kid's name out of Detroit, but he's a stallion. I mean, he's a stud. So we get somebody like that who doesn't take plays off. Huh? Did I say that? I'm sorry. Who doesn't take plays off?
Not
Who?
according to his dad.
Well,
Did you hear that?
you can.
Did you hear him
Yeah,
call in?
I see. I heard that, and once again, I'm not bad mouthing Chase. So anybody that says I'm a Chase hater, no, I'm not. But when you look at the film, when we know people lie, parents lie, the film don't lie. When you see him just standing next to a dude who's not actively going after a play because it's going to the other side, is he tired? Or is he just waiting to save his energy for the next play that may be coming to his side? I don't know, but it doesn't look good when you see those other guys who are running through a blocker to get to that play on the other side of the field. I'm just
Agreed.
saying.
And stick a pin in that real quick. Just going back to Montez. Montez got here in 2019, right? He's had 35 and a half sacks. 9 is the most he had in a season. And going to Micah's been playing since 2021. He's had 32 and a half sacks. Just looking at the numbers, he's played less times than him. I mean, he's a disruptive force, and Micah doesn't have a Chase opposite of him. He doesn't have a Duran and a John Allen lining up there as well. So it's just, I understand people love players. I think we get too attached to players from time to time. What has anyone really done here from a player perspective? We haven't won anything in over 20 years. I mean, I stopped playing fantasy football because I became friends with a lot of these guys. And I told the story on a past pod where Cooley and Trent were giving me crap out at the facility because I didn't start Chris one week because he had a banged up knee and something was going on. And Trent's like, oh, you're picking that defense against us? Like, what are you doing here? So I stopped playing it. But realistically, I mean, why do we fall in love with these players? Because we buy their jerseys and we rock them on game day? To me, hey, that's just supporting the team and it is what it is. But numbers don't lie. He's not worth a first round pick. You got a second. And if you hate it, then look at everybody else out there that's talking about it, that's thinking this is a steal. And going to Chase, right? Okay, it's a compensatory third round pick from the 49ers, which is at the end of the third round. So basically a fourth for a first round pick. Does that suck? I don't know. I don't think we were going to keep Chase here. I think Chase was going to want too much money. I think in his head, in his ego, he elevated his worth way too much. He was going to expect franchise tag money over $20 million. And was he worth it? In my opinion, no. So he's going to walk at that point. If he walks, you don't get a pick until 2025, even if you get a pick. So get something for him now.
Exactly. And that's what people don't want to put the GM hat on. They're still thinking with their heart. Now, give it some time. Let the wound heal, and you'll see once that bandage comes off, oh, this looks pretty good. It healed up pretty good. And don't forget, guys, we have I say it all the time. We've got pieces to this puzzle. We still aren't out of it yet. Believe it or not, all is not over just yet. We still have some games to be played. And with that being said, you've got these young Thundercats who are trying to make a name for themselves. And they're going to play extra hard. And they're going to play within the system. And they're going to play within the scheme. And you're going to see a difference. And because of that, no, I'm not going to say it yet. We're going to keep moving, keep it on rolling. But you're going to see a difference. The captain stamps it. Just feel me on that.
And Chase had 14 sacks his career here. And yes, he was coming back from injury, but people forget he played a decent amount of games before he got hurt in 21 and had 1.5 sacks.
9 games, right?
Yeah, didn't do anything. And I just, people have selective memory. And on top of the selective memory, I think they just make stuff up in their head at times. Well, one of our listeners chimed in. He's a little upset about the trade. Let me get to his voicemail real quick, trying to find his name. This is Anthony chiming in on the trade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Halloween 2023, and the trades went down today. I've been a Washington fan for practically my whole life. I'm 50 years old. I'm in Fresno, California. I've been a Skins fan forever. Out here, it's so difficult. But these 2 trades that went down, Chase and Montez Sweat gone, basically leaving us as a laughing stock as we are quitting on the season. Actually, that's what it seems like. It's tough, man. It's tough, but I'm still hailing out here in Fresno, California every day. I just hope brighter days are in our future. I'm going to miss Chase, man. I love that dude. Thank you.
We appreciate it, Anthony. But I don't get the punting on the season. Do people not remember how well the defense played when we actually lost Sweat and Chase? And this is a tweet from John Keim. 2 years ago, in 6 games with Smith Williams and Tuhill as a starting defensive ends, we went 4-2. Points per game went from 29.9 down to 17.5. Yards per game went from 400 to 284, right? We've got guys on this team. They may not have been drafted in the first round, but in my opinion, they played better than a couple of the first rounders that we had. And who's to say that 2 sacks Tuhill isn't going to step up now that he's got the opportunity? Our buddies at Ref the District took, I don't know how many plays it was of Chase that they put a video up, but it showed Chase basically playing patty cake with guys, as Raleigh said, because the play went to the other side of the field. I'm sorry, but James Smith-Williams, Casey, they don't play that way. They know that if the ball's going, they're pursuing. And how many times do plays get cut back? They don't give up on plays. I'm not trying to knock Chase. He's gone. I'm not trying to kick him while he's down. But realistically, I think this is a better fit. We started playing worse as a defense when Chase came back this season. I don't know if people realize that. And I think part of that is because he wasn't staying in his lane. We talk about 4 rushing as 1. And this is an article that came out from Ben Standing talking about Chase Young. Someone from the team actually mentioned that they saw this as potential addition by subtraction.
Damn.
There were lingering concerns about Young's durability and on-field discipline. On-field discipline, we can see it all day long. Durability, I think those concerns are not warranted. I think he's fine. I think he's healthy. He's going to pass that physical, and we're going to get our 3rd round pick. But on-field discipline, I agree with 1,000%.
Yeah. I mean, what more can you say? I mean, that hasn't been said. As you said, I'm not going to kick him while he's gone, while he's away. Good luck to you, Chase. But now we've got a football game to focus on against the New England Patriots. And I, for one, am looking forward to it. This is a wake-up call to everyone on the team. And that's how I view this. Because a lot of times we go through life and we're like, yeah, it'll be okay, until something flashes in front of our face and says, wait a minute, they got rid of Joe, and Joe was our one of our best people. Well, yeah, Joe's gone now. So now you've got to step up. And some people can step up and some people can't. I think that these young guys are going to be able to step up and show you a different defense. And once again, we've got a lot of football left.
Yeah, there's 9 games left. And this is actually from an article from Michael Silver from the San Francisco Chronicle. Says Young, according to several Washington coaches and other organizational sources, was viewed as an undisciplined player who developed bad habits, such as deviating from assignments in an effort to make splash plays. His off-the-field priorities and commitment to his craft were often questioned, and he was viewed internally as a player who plateaued as a rookie. Do you think that this staff would want to admit that? The second overall pick in the draft, they understand that they've got egg on their face at this point. And admitting to your new bosses that you wasted the second pick in the draft, that's what this is admitting that it didn't work. And this stuff coming out from the coaches. I mean, I do think Chase is going to be successful over there because it's a different scheme. I think that the coaching over there is better. He also has a better player in Bosa, and the 49ers are a better team. So odds are he's going to have a chance to pin his ears back a little bit more versus coming back from behind or just playing neck and neck. So I wish him all the best. Do I still think he's worth that second round pick? No, I don't. And I think it was a mistake to take him, but it happened. Just like it was a mistake to buy this jersey. Speaking of which, did you see Hog Farmer Chris's Halloween display at his house?
I did. And
that was awesome, man.
It was. And that's another reason why the captain doesn't buy players' jerseys, because I still got a slew of jerseys that are in a tub somewhere put away that are just, we all are there. We've been there. I don't know how many RG3 jerseys I bought. I know I bought Salute to Service. I know I bought whatever have you. You name it, I had it in all colors: white, burgundy, yellow, red. I mean, you name it, I had it. So it's a situation where black even, won't be doing that anymore. I will be buying jerseys and putting my name on it because I'm not going anywhere. I told you guys, players, they come and go. Coaches, they come and go. And yes, even owners come and go, which we are seeing. And you guys have lived through this, not just with Chase, but with other players. You've seen it with other teams. So now embrace it and let's come together and do what we got to do as a fan base. Once again, don't let this be a sad day for you. Okay, all right, mourn that our beloved Chase and Montez are gone. Okay, kumbaya. Be done with it, because we got a football game in basically 3 days in a wake up, 4 days in a wake up. All right, that needs to get done. So put it to the side. All right, break. Let's go.
Do people really think that Terry is going to stop giving effort because Chase and Tez are gone? I mean, do people really think that John Allen isn't going to be out there giving his all because Chase and Montez are gone? No, these guys are professional football players. On top of that, hey, guess what? Guess who's also a free agent at the end of the season? Casey Toohill, James Smith-Williams. Both of those guys want to get paid. Guess what motivates people? Getting that bag. And do you think we're punting the season?
No, I don't think we're punting the season. I think that what we said earlier was we were basically, no matter how many ways we want to slice it, and I hate to say it, we were mediocre. We just are. And the defense,
I'd say worse than mediocre, at least on defense.
And the defense giving up basically how many points a game dictates that. So if you can get something, I tell you, I want to get something for Cody Barton. Can we get something for Barton?
I'd kill to have Barton back at this point. I mean, David Mayo ain't really lighting the world on fire.
What I'm saying, that pick to me was a bust. That's just me. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. So if we got something, guys, they would have, think about this. Like Ted said, in the grand scheme of things, would you rather have something or get nothing? And you would be upset if you got nothing. See, right now you're upset because he's gone. But think 9, hypothetically 10 weeks down the road, or 15 weeks down the road, whenever the season's over with, and they walk away with nothing, you really would be upset with that. You
It's,
really
it's not
would be.
even it's not even that. They haven't done anything with him here. We have the 31st ranked scoring defense. We're giving up 28.5 points per game. If we would have beat the Eagles and if our defense was better, maybe these guys wouldn't have been traded. Who knows? But they were, because they weren't performing. And Montez, you had to get rid of him because you actually got a good haul for him. You weren't going to get that good a haul for Chase. People, the league, they don't value Chase. They don't think he's his worth. People calling in and crying about him. And hey, you know,
unfortunately,
people are going to miss him. I get it. He's a local guy. I get it. I don't understand how people are so attached to him, but it is what it is. He took a selfie with you at training camp or whatever it may be. But to me, what matters is wins and losses, and we have not won a damn thing with them here. And I'm not saying we're going to win with these draft picks, but it's at least potential to do something else. And we get a chance to actually build properly.
Yeah, well, he didn't want to wear the rally chain. I'm just saying.
Well, then we should have got rid of his ass that day. But this is what Coach had to say about not punting on the season.
And obviously, when you trade two guys like this, I know you can't talk about Chase, but when you make these kind of moves, from the outside, people are going to look at like, oh, you're 3-5. They're getting rid of two of their, better talents. Are they starting to, like lack of a better phrase, punt on the season? And so how would you address, and how would you?
No, what I would say is, based on some of the things that we've seen and some of the growth and development we have, it's an opportunity to see what else we have. It's an opportunity to go out and, win football games using different guys. And we feel that we have an opportunity to go out and play well. We look forward to seeing what some of these young guys can do. We do think that, there's every opportunity in front of us. And, I've gone through this before. In 2014, I went through the same thing. We were late in the season, and we put a bunch of young guys that we felt had the opportunity or deserved the opportunity and put them out on the field and ended up in the playoffs. We won some games that gave us a chance. Do we have that opportunity? I think this is what this is. I think it's the same kind of an opportunity. We do feel strongly about the quarterback. It's something that, I talked about in the offseason. I've talked about through training camp. I've talked through the beginning of the season about the growth and development, and we're seeing it. And so we want to see what we have and see if we can win football games and put ourselves in that same position.
Okay, I'm paraphrasing for him. We've got the pieces to the puzzle. That's basically all that soliloquy was. We have pieces to the puzzle, and now we're going to start putting them in and seeing if we can put this thing together. Boom. The captain's been saying that.
I don't know why Casey Toohill got 5 snaps a couple weeks ago after his 2-sack game in Atlanta. It doesn't make any sense to me why Chase got so many snaps, why other guys weren't getting effort, because on top of that, it just pays to have guys stay fresh. Well, we don't have as much depth as we did before, but people have been asking, where's KJ Henry? Where's some of these other young bucks? Where's what's his name? Andre Jones Jr. Well, guess what? These guys are going to get a chance to play now. F.A. Obata going to get a chance now. We're going to get to see what these other guys can do, because they have made the most out of their opportunities when they have stepped on the field. And I'm sorry, our caller earlier said that looks like we're playing on the season, and we've had people chime in on social saying the same thing. I do not agree with you guys. We are not putting on the season, because there are 51 other players in that locker room that are still going to give it their all. My only concern is, do you think Ron has lost the locker room by trading away these two, I guess, superstars, if you will?
Superstars in our realm. I'm going to say it's like anything else in life, Ted, and to our listeners, it's anything else in life. The initial shock, you're like, whoa, wait a minute. But you put that Band-Aid on, and you put that doggone salve on top of that Band-Aid and slowly let it heal. At the end of the day, they're professionals. I don't think that he's lost the locker room. I think that people may be upset for a second, But at the end of the day, they are professional players who have to play the game. No ifs, ands, buts about it. And I think that we are going to see this in New England. Mark my word. Mark my word.
Yeah, and our man Alonzo wanted to chime in about the trade real quick.
Yeah. I just want to stress my views on the Young, the Montez Sweat trade. Right now, you kind of don't understand it because you think that they would at least keep one of those guys, but I can see why they are doing it because really right now we have a quarterback that can get us in the end zone now. And despite the woes with the offensive line, we're still scoring anywhere between mid-20s, early 30s. Those are enough to win games. But when you got a defense that's allowing the opposing offense to come in and score more and we're still losing, I can see why they would take Case and they would take Montez and trade them. They're going to be in a contract years next year after this season anyway. And if they're not producing, you trade them all and you start rebuilding from there.
And appreciate Alonzo chiming in. He had 2 more minutes. I had to cut him off. It was just a little, we only got an hour show. But not everyone is upset about this. And some people are actually pro this trade. And, you know, we're kind of going back and forth on this, starting to beat a dead horse. But from my opinion, it's a good move. It's a smart move, but only time will tell. And are we a better team this week up against the Patriots? No, we lost 2 studs on our bookends. But does that mean we're going to lose this week? And it's a guarantee? No. I think some fans are just assuming that it's an L this Sunday. People forget this ain't the Tom Brady Patriots.
No.
The Pats, they're 2-6 right now. They're not exactly lighting the world on fire, and they've had a quarterback rotation going in there, not knowing what to do. So on offense, they are the, guess what, 31st ranked scoring offense in the NFL. So, you know, it's not like our defense has a ton to worry about. And I know I'm not saying this to try and jinx us because we sometimes play down to our competition. You know, go back 2 weeks ago when we played the Giants and Tyrod. But this is a very beatable New England team. The only thing is, to me, the jury's still out on if Ron has lost the locker room because everybody knows that this man is getting fired. So are you going to take orders from someone that you know isn't going to be here, but you still will? Everybody is different in regards to how they treat that person. Me, it just depends. If that guy wasn't someone I respected in the first place, I probably wouldn't pay as much attention to him, knowing that he ain't going to be here in a couple of weeks. But the players respect Ron, so I don't know.
They do. They respect Ron, but if what I'm hearing, EB's the one who's pretty much running anything to begin with. Ron is a figurehead.
Offensive side, yeah. From the offensive side, he's running it.
Yeah, Ron's a figurehead. So we'll see how this plays out. I can't wait.
I'm right there with you. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this happens, because if he truly has lost his locker room, then I think the change at head coach happens sooner than the bye week. I think EB takes over.
Okay.
The curious thing for me, though, is if Ron gets fired, EB takes over, does Del Rio stick around? Or does Del Rio say, you know what, screw this, I'm gone? Because he came here because of Ron. He got passed up as assistant head coach for Bieniemy, and his defense is garbage. So does Del Rio just say, F it, I'm leaving? I don't know. It's definitely getting interesting, man.
I think it's a package deal. I think when one goes, they both go, and then they'll figure it out.
It's going to be funny to see what happens, you know, the last 9 games. And I don't want to say as long as we get to our bet and, we get the 7 wins, but hey, that's not going to hurt if it actually does happen. All I know is football, we get 17 games a year and hopefully more if we're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're a soap opera this year because ownership didn't get a chance to take over in time, but they are obviously paying attention and making moves to get us back to where we used to be. And these next 9 games are going to be a start of that. And if Bieniemy really wants a chance to potentially be thought of by the new GM to stay here, then he's got to show what he can do too, not just these players.
Exactly.
Ron brought him in, but he ain't going to be here. That doesn't mean Bieniemy's going to be gone, because let's keep in mind, no one really wanted him. That's why he came here. So he's also auditioning, just like a bunch of these players are, for the new regime and who takes over.
Yep. They are all putting, we would say in the preseason, putting stuff on tape, because you don't know who's looking at you. And at this point, everyone, think about it like this. We just made national, actually worldwide news. Don't you think that everyone now is going to be looking at this New England game saying, let's see what those Commanders do? The eyes are on us everywhere. Trust and believe that.
They definitely are. And New England just lost to Miami at that point. They're not looking too good, but I feel that a lot of our games have come down to coaching. Belichick has been there for 28 seasons?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get really better than him. He's been there for a while. He's just had a bad run of players on his team. And hey, he's in charge of picking them too and doing everything else over there. So he's got really no one else to blame. It's going to be curious to see which Commanders team actually shows up this Sunday. And I think that this is going to be a true test on what's going to happen the rest of the season. When Gruden got fired, I feel, because he lost his team. He lost that locker room and Callahan took over. I think a bunch of our past coaches that have been let go, they lost their teams towards the end of the seasons because those players knew that these guys weren't going to be around. So it's going to really speak to the character of the players that are still here. A couple of players chimed in on social media, not really a ton. Well, it was Cam Curl put up a tweet saying, bruh, and then he had some emoji, which I don't know what the hell that stands for. But, I'm not really hearing a bunch of people yelling and screaming all upset about this because, just like you said, we got a game in 3 days and a wake up. So it'll be here before we know it.
Mm-hmm. And I can't wait to see it. And because of that, I'm stamping it right now. Commanders will win this game. I'm stamping it because because it's a new day once again, and I feel as though that fire has been sparked. And at this point, we know that you can get benched or even let go or traded. So people right now are going to be putting their best foot forward if they still want to play for this team. And if they're professionals, they'll want to play for this team.
Yeah.
Point blank.
I agree with you. I don't think these guys are going to call it in. There's too many games left to just call it in. And I also don't think Bieniemy is going to let them do that. It's the defense that gives me some concerns, what's going to happen. But because it's Casey coming in and because it's James Smith-Williams coming in, I have faith that those guys are going to do what they need to do to be a contributing factor in this game to help slow down that offense. I mean, from a rushing perspective, the Patriots are averaging 84 yards on the ground. That's 27th in the NFL. Passing, 200 yards in the air. That's 20th. So this is a very, very winnable game for us. This defense can step up. Is this going to be the same Eric Bieniemy play calling that he called against the Giants, or the Eric Bieniemy that called 2 amazing games versus the Eagles? That I don't know.
That scares me.
Sam took 1 sack last week, and this is actually what he had to say about the improvement.
You've talked about improving on the sacks a lot when we've talked to you. Was there something specific, or was it schematic, or what, getting the ball out quickly? Like, what was the key to that on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it starts those guys up front, and I thought, all 5 of those guys did a really good job for, most of the game, and it made my job easier. And then, if something wasn't there downfield, I was just trying to check it down as quickly as possible and just trying to, get the ball out of my hands, whether it was an incompletion or a short completion. But I thought I did a good job kind of managing the game, and I thought just as an offense as a whole, we were pretty efficient. So we just got to try to continue to build on that.
I think Sam is learning his lesson. I don't say he learned it because we've only seen it one game. He needs to be more consistent. But the 6-sack, 7-sack games that we've been seeing him do, as long as the play calling can keep up with it, and as long as the players that are supposed to play or should play, let's just say should play, are out there, then I think this offense really has the potential to do some damage in the NFL. And we've all said it a bunch of times. It's just the defense is what's been concerning us. So if Sam can keep that jersey clean up in New England, I agree with you, man. I can see us actually winning this game and coming back to be, was it 4-5?
Yeah. And I think that the proverbial light bulb has come on. That's what I believe from the Eagles game. But as you said, has the light bulb come on for Coach Bieniemy? I'm hoping it has. And he calls the same type of play that he did against Philly, because there was no stopping us. Now, granted, I know it's Philadelphia and we know their tendencies. This NFC East matchup, I get all that. But the fact of the matter is, we should be able to play these guys hard and come out victorious, because I want a victory steak.
A New England victory steak. I figure you get a lobster up there, man. You might have to add lobster to the steak just because you're up there.
I can do that. I can add both.
All right. I need to see pictures of this. You can definitely add both.
What's that commercial? I want both. I want both.
We can get you there, man. That's not a problem. I think that Bieniemy is starting to hear the criticism, because it's not just coming from Washington anymore. It's coming from a bunch of national pundits as well, that are questioning Bieniemy's play calling, questioning his coaching, how he's letting Sam take these hits. And it's not all on Bieniemy. It is on Nick Gates, who got benched. So Tyler Larson's in there now. On the injury report this week, just taking a look at it, the only offensive lineman that's on that report right now is Ricky Stromberg. Well, Stromberg wasn't a starter anyway. So from a practice perspective, John Allen, DNP today, Kendall Fuller, DNP. They got a Veterans Day off, so don't worry about that. Curtis Samuel did not practice. He had a toe. Well, guess who stepped up last week? Crowder. He's shifty. I'm not really concerned about Samuel not being there. Percy Butler was limited with a calf. Logan Thomas limited with a heel. That might hurt a little bit, because Sam's definitely built a connection with Logan, and Logan's been diving and laying that body out there, but we always know that Logan's banged up and he tries to do what he can on game day. So I think we do get a chance to actually win this game. For me, keys to victory: sustain drives. Keep your defense fresh, because from a rotation perspective, you're going to have some guys out there that are going to be getting more snaps than they're used to getting. And yes, everybody's in football shape, but unless Raleigh can, spike those Gatorade bottles with some don't sleep energies, I think we need to make sure the offense gives the defense some time off. And if they can do that and we win time of possession and actually put points on the board, then I think we get this game on Sunday. What say you?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. We have to play steady, cohesive football. And what we say is I called it FOC last week, the fundamentals of coaching. Well, now we need FOF, the fundamentals of football. That's what it's going to come down to. And as you said, those guys are going to be amped up. They're going to need a blow every once in a while. They're not Montez. They don't have the number of snaps, So you're going to have to give those guys a little extra blow. They're professionals, but they're not in that true shape that Tez and Chase were in. So you're gonna have to give them a blow, and the best way to do that is offense, sustain drives.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna see it. Hopefully, maybe we get a steady dose of B-Rob and a steady dose of Rodriguez this week, and we can grind out some plays. We can grind out some drives. But for you, who's your don't sleep player of the game?
The two ends coming in, bro. The two ends that are coming in. And I hate to be that way since we've been talking about them the whole time, but we just got rid of two. So these two are coming in on the national stage to make a difference. So those my two ends. What about you?
For me, I think it's going to be Sam. I think Sam is going to show that it wasn't a 1 week fluke. And Belichick is a genius. The guy can throw stuff at you that you're not going to recognize. And Sam, I'm sorry, he's a rookie. I'm just going to call him a rookie until this year's over. But I think the kid is going to step up, and I think he's going to have a heck of a day up there in New England. And I think we walk out of there victorious, and you get your steak and your lobster. But what's your final score prediction for that game?
Final score prediction is going to be 24-17.
24-17 Washington.
20, yep.
I'm going to say it's going to be a little bit closer just because we're up there. We're going to New England. I'm going to say Joey Sly gets us with a game winner, 27-24, Washington.
And we can sneak out with some chowder.
Hey, I'd rather have some lobster instead of some chowder.
Exactly. Yeah. Give me my. But hey, whether it's by 1 or 100, a dub is a dub, and I'll take it. And I hear that music playing in the background. That means that you have ridden with us this whole time, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for listening. Remember, as Ted said, please subscribe, like. It goes a long way. It helps us, and it also will help you. Remember, guys, you rep it hard, or you don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted, closing out another episode of DMV Mess Hall. We're out.